Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for March 19th, 2018 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. Just make the introductions here. To my right is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis. Our Vice President to my left is Commissioner Jeff Benton. Our clerk today is Jennifer Walraven, and our Administrator Mike Cromer. With that, let's begin.
Resolution number 18-278, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held March 12th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-278. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment or elected official.
I'm going to make a comment though,
Okay.
at this point. We lost this weekend a person that is kind of the texture of our whole city and whole county for that matter. And I thought it would be appropriate if we just stop for a moment and maybe share some thoughts on that. And I'll go first. I remember Kevin Crowley passed away over the weekend, and our leader at People in Need. And my first recollection of Kevin was I was at the Gazette, and he gave me a tour of the Penn location up on Sandusky, which is nothing more than a house. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was a couple blocks north of here. And I recall his passion at the time for people in need and all that it meant to him. And from there, ultimately, it was moved to a bigger location, a better location. And I had the highest respect for Kevin. I had the opportunity to meet him briefly at State of the County. Last week, we talked briefly. I wish I'd said more. He's going to be a tremendous loss to our county, to the people that he served, and I know my two fellow commissioners, their spouses serve on the board, so I'd like to leave it open for both of you to speak, whoever wants to go first.
Well, it was, Kevin passed away over the weekend from a heart attack, and very unexpected. He was at our State of the County, and everyone who knew Kevin knows his passion for helping those in need, and what People in Need have been able to do under his leadership over these past few years has just been phenomenal, and they serve thousands and thousands of our less fortunate citizens, and this was a very personal loss, I know, to my husband and myself, and also to Commissioner Benton's wife, Barb, who serves on the board too. Jim is actually at Penn right now, and trying to just hold things together there and rally the staff. But our prayers are with Mrs. Crowley and the Penn board and the Penn staff.
Yeah, I guess I would echo those comments as well. We the community has lost a person who just cared deeply about the community. It wasn't about Kevin. Right. It was all about how can we help people who need help. And he did so many things: the rent program, the utilities program, the food, the Christmas clearinghouse, which is just a phenomenal event. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of families are helped at that point. So yeah, it's a huge loss for the community, and we'll see. I'm sure the mission will go forward because there is such a commitment to caring for those people who need some help. But it's going to be a big loss, no doubt about it. So I know, as you mentioned, I know the Penn board is meeting right away to see how they move forward and still, provide those services with the loss of such a valuable, leader. So anyway, again, big loss.
He's doing something that he loved.
He did.
And,
that's a good way to describe it. He really cared.
And I think, we all sometimes we don't say it enough. Thank you for what you do. These are the times you wish you'd said more. I wish I'd said more when I saw him last Wednesday than just say hello at the table. It's a big loss for all of us.
One thing that our community enhancement grants meant so much to them, and in particular this when we gave him the cardboard cutter, something that we had never heard about, but Penn receives so many of their canned goods in cardboard boxes, and they have to cut them up, and then they can take them over to the fair, actually, and I'm not sure what's done with them there, but that saved Kevin so much time, and I heard about that several times, and then the freezer that we were able to give them too, in which they could keep so much more food frozen and fresh for people. So I'm so glad that we did that through our community enhancement grants.
With that, we'll proceed.
Resolution number 18-279, in the matter of approving purchase orders and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM-APR 0316.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-279. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-280, in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-280. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill? Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-281, in the matter of a transfer of a liquor license request from One Pal Sports Pub LLC, doing business as Crown Sports Pub, to Gramity LLC, from forwarding to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control with no objection and no request for a hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-281. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-282, in the matter of declaring the week of March 18th through 24th as Ohio Severe Weather Awareness and Flood Safety Awareness Week.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Miller, Director, Delaware County Emergency Management. Before I get into this, I would just like to say I'm very sorry to hear of Mr. Crowley's passing. We have worked very closely with him over the years, and he, as you said, Commissioner, loved what he did and put his heart and soul into it, and also had a very terrific sense of humor as well. And so, at any rate, I'm very sorry to hear that. But Severe Weather Awareness Week is designated as March 18th to the 24th, as well as Flood Safety Awareness Week. And these weeks are important because it's an opportunity to think about preparedness. And Delaware County and Ohio are certainly subject to severe weather. And recently we had quite a bit of rain with flooding as a result of that. And part of flood safety awareness is the message that the National Weather Service advocates: turn around, don't drown. And it's a very important one because recently with our flooding, even though many roadways were closed and had signs to that effect, motorists still went around the signs and attempted to drive through high water, and their cars were stranded as a result. And not only are they putting themselves in harm's way, but also the responders that have to come out and rescue them. So that is one point to Flood Safety Awareness Week, that message, turn around, don't drown, and is one that is very pertinent here locally as well recently. We are working with Delaware County Safety and Security Director Brian Gallagher on the 21st, this Wednesday at 9:50 a.m. There will be a statewide siren drill. So in Delaware County, the sirens will sound, and Delaware County as an employer will use the opportunity to practice its own sheltering procedures. And Brian will be working with Jane to send out more information on that, I believe today or tomorrow. And so we'll be able to practice our own sheltering procedures for that. Additionally, Delaware County has had its last tornado most recently in 2016, and as mentioned, we had flooding earlier this year, as well as straight line wind damage recently too in 2017. So certainly we are prone to severe weather here, and it's a good opportunity to encourage citizens to enact some very simple preparedness measures. And those are things as simple as knowing how to receive alerts and notifications during severe weather. And so our Delco alert system is a good system. Another one is wireless emergency alerts. Most people know that as the Amber Alert system on their phone, which can warn for severe weather as well. Having no less than 72 hours worth of food, water, and medication on hand. Of course, the turnaround, don't drown message, and knowing when and where to take shelter and having those locations pre-designated with family members beforehand, so that if the sirens do go off, if the weather radio is going off, if you get that alert on your phone, then certainly everyone should be on the same page and know where to go. And lastly, I just want to touch on the fact that sirens are designed to alert folks who are outside to go inside and to seek further information through other means. So with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
How many Delco Alert subscribers, if that's the right word, do you have signed up at this point?
That's a good question. I'll follow up with you on that. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But over the past year, we have had, I know, quite a bit more sign up than what we had initially. So I'll follow up with you, sir, on that.
Because that does seem to be a very effective, prompt way of hearing about weather emergencies.
Absolutely.
So it's good.
Nothing.
And nor do I. Obviously, this is something that being aware of is very important. And as always, you do an excellent job of explaining and
Thank you.
It's easy for all of us. We do have something we want to give you to maybe get a photo.
Sure.
So the proclamation from the county on this topic. Okay. Let's get a photo. Let's vote on it first.
Vote on motion 18-282. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. We lost Commissioner Lewis.
Going for coffee.
There I am. All right.
Let's proceed.
Resolution number 18-283, in the matter of redesignating the Delaware General Health District as the Delaware County Tuberculosis Control Unit and approving an intergovernmental contract with the Delaware General Health District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sheila Hiddleston, your Health Commissioner. I also would just like to share that the Delaware General Health District is saddened by Kevin's passing. Kevin was a very active member of the Partnership for a Healthy Delaware County, assisting us with our community health assessment process and our community health improvement plan, plus just an enormous amount of other coalitions and things that he served on. So we're very thankful for Penn in our community. We know that they really meet a need, and our prayers and thoughts are with him and his family, as well as the folks from Penn.
Thank you.
So tuberculosis, as you all are aware, in the state of Ohio, tuberculosis control falls to the county commissioners, and wisely, many, many years ago, our county commissioners entered into a contract with the Delaware General Health District as your entity to do all of the tuberculosis control. Of course, we have public health nurses, a medical director, and an epidemiologist on staff that make it a very nice process for us to be taking care of that for you. The resolution that's in front of you is just to redesignate us. That hasn't been done in a long time, and there have been some changes to the laws and the rules, and so we wanted to kind of incorporate those into the new contract. We are, of course, happy to continue to do that. As you know, you all do not pay us to be your tuberculosis control unit. It is something that we do. We are responsible for communicable disease and infectious disease, and we believe that this is our responsibility. So we don't receive any money directly from the county commissioners. What we do with the tuberculosis is kind of twofold. We do a lot of prevention activities. We do a risk assessment of the county every year. Our risk in our county is actually fairly low. We also do MAN 2 tuberculosis testing for any community member. There are mandated people who have to have that done annually, and then there are others who want to have them done annually, and so we work with those folks. The numbers that you have in front of you are actually the cases that we have case managed. So again, we're a low-risk community, but we do every year have several active TB cases and or latent TB cases, and then we also have to do all the contact investigation if we do have one of those. And so those are the numbers you have in front of you. Those numbers do not include all of the MAN 2 testing that we do. Those are just actually cases that we've managed over the last few years, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You said you hadn't been redesignated in several years. Is that something we should be doing regularly, or just something is just kind of not, it's not really necessary?
Our contract with you, actually, I wish I could remember the original date. I don't have it in front of me. It just has an ongoing clause that we can obviously either of us terminate at any time. So it isn't something necessarily. It's just that there have been a few rules changes. So the county commissioners are responsible for any costs to a patient for their TB care. So if they have insurance, and they have a high deductible, say, then the county commissioners are responsible for that. Used to be that you were only responsible for those people that were indigent so that they couldn't receive the care that they needed. It doesn't happen very often that we have anyone in our county that's indigent, but we are currently managing a case where they have a huge deductible, and I believe that Mike has already taken care of making that payment to that family. So that's one of the main changes. Then for every case that we actually case manage, which are the numbers you have in front of you, you all actually, at the end of that case management, you receive a check for that case management, and we include it in the contract. If you could please give that to us, because we are the ones doing that work for you. But that money doesn't come out of the county coffers. That money comes actually out from the Ohio Department of Health. But it comes to you all, and then if you pass that on to us, and that's for the case management that we do every time we complete a case.
I don't know how to ask this, but I'll try to do it diplomatically. Do the tuberculosis cases tend to be people who are residents of our county, or people who are passing through our county, maybe on a temporary basis?
It can be both. Sometimes some of our challenges are if it's someone that's passing through. We work very, very closely with other county health departments. This last year we had a case that was really fairly difficult to track down, and the contacts is where it became an issue, because we shared the case with Union County and trying to make sure that all of the appropriate steps were taken care of. When we have an active TB case, our nurses have to do what's called direct observational therapy. So they actually have to go to the person's home and watch them take their medications for a period of time, however long the doctor tells us. And so that's daily, except for the weekends. On the weekends, we're using technology, and we're doing Skype and FaceTime calls where we actually have to get on the phone with the person. We have to watch them take their pills. We review whether they're having any problems. So those are all of the case management cases. Those are for active TB. Now for latent TB, that means you actually are infected with TB, but you're not infectious, although you could become infectious at any time. We don't actually have to watch them take their medicines, but we have to case manage them to make sure that they do take their medicines. And then we have to isolate, do all of the contact investigations. So in public health, when we do any communicable disease, we work on what's called the concentric circle is how we do that. So if you have your index case, that's the person maybe that has active or latent TB, and then we have to investigate their circle, and then we have to move out to the next circle depending on how long out we continue to get any positive reactions. And so to answer your question, they're both residents and people who are passing through. The people passing through create the biggest challenges for us.
I guess I'm referring to illegal immigrants. I'll be very candid. I just wondered if...
We do not ask clients their immigration status.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I didn't, when I saw this on the agenda, I was surprised. I didn't really think TB, I thought TB was eradicated, quite honestly.
No,
Obviously
TB
it's
isn't
not.
eradicated. In fact, in a lot of our larger cities, they're really seeing a resurgence, particularly in the homeless populations. It's very infectious. It's spread through droplets, so when you cough, it gets out in the air, and then anybody can inhale it. And so, no, absolutely not. And in lots of, like I said, in lots of our larger cities, they have lots of TB.
But there is a vaccine.
No, there is
Oh,
no
there- oh, okay, I
vaccine for
thought there was.
TB. Now, in some of the foreign countries, they do give a vaccine. It's not really, in foreign countries where it's rampant, they do have a process that they give a vaccine. But what happens is it doesn't really prevent TB. It just actually makes our jobs a little harder, because if someone's had that and then we try to do the man-2 testing, they always come back positive. Then we have to do chest x-rays and a visit with a pulmonologist to make sure that they truly don't have TB, but there is no vaccine for TB.
So how do you spot it and how do you treat it?
Well, typically, it's usually somebody comes to us because they've been in the doctor's office because they're very sick. It's rare that someone just comes up and automatically has TB. So we find people because we're referred by a physician who's done testing, or when we do a man-2 test, which is the little bubble that you get put on your arms. A long, long time ago, you got those 3 little tines. We don't do that anymore. We actually do a man-2 test. Then you have to come back within 24 to 48 hours to have that read. And if it's positive, then we have to do further investigation with a chest x-ray and a visit to a pulmonologist.
Back when I was a student, all the students were given that test.
Yeah, so we don't really do that anymore, and in fact, in some communities, teachers don't even have to be TB tested. They used to have to be. Now what we do is we work with the school districts to determine what their risk level is, and we worked with them, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, to update all of their policies. There are certain teachers, depending on where they've been, that might have to be TB tested before they teach. Used to be all restaurant workers had to be tested. That isn't the case anymore, but that's part of that risk assessment that we do annually. If at any point we would think that we had a high-risk area in Delaware County, then the Board of Health does have the authority to enact more stringent screening policies. But any resident can come in and get tested if they think they've been exposed to TB, but they don't have to worry if they have been exposed, because we're going to call them.
How do you treat it then?
So TB is treated with a variety of medications, and that's all it is. They're all PO by mouth, and it's just a variety of different medications that you have to take, but it's a lot of medication. And the medication can be very damaging to the kidneys and the liver, so we monitor that very carefully with blood work and make sure that they're not having any adverse reactions.
Okay.
I noticed a big hike in the number of clients, investigation contacts, I should say. In 2017, 352. And what does that mean exactly again?
So the top graph that you have are actually the clients that are diagnosed with TB or latent TB.
Okay.
So that is the person who either tested positive with us or a physician discovered it upon hospitalization. Down below are all of the every single time that we have to reach out and either find a contact, talk with the physician. And so I'm looking at the numbers in 2017. We had 16 total clients that we followed. So those 352 would be contacts related to that. And sometimes it's because as we do that investigation, that circle gets wider and wider depending on where the person is. For example, if you have a stay-at-home mom with tuberculosis who may only have 3 or 4 people that they come into contact regularly with, pretty small investigation, as opposed to maybe someone who works outside of the home and maybe travels a little bit. Sometimes we end up making contact investigations out of the state.
Okay.
So it just depends on how many. It could have been that one of those clients was very complicated, and so there were a lot more telephone calls with the physician or visits to the family. Sometimes we have foreign-speaking TB clients, and so then we have to also have interpreters to go with us and things.
Oh, sure. Oh, okay.
Those 3 or 4 that stay-at-home mom you referred to, so if those 3 or 4 don't have TB, you don't have to go to the next, who they had contact with, I'm assuming, but if they did, then you...
Well, we would look at if they were any kind of a high-risk profession. We would look at that and make that determination. We would probably alert those people, but we wouldn't necessarily make sure they all get tested. Depending on how far out that goes, we make sure everyone gets tested, and then we have to do follow-up testing as well, so it's not just come in one and done. Then we do follow-up to make sure that, it wasn't in the process of developing.
Well, I just wanted to congratulate you.
Oh, it's not us.
I knew you were going to say that. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, healthiest, Delaware County
right.
is the healthiest county in Ohio, and it was 4 years? Is this
Fourth
the
year in
This
a
is the 4th year in a row, and of all the years that they've done this ranking, we've only not been number 1 twice,
Okay.
but 4 years in a row.
We did mention that.
Yes.
Yeah, state of the county.
But it is not we would love to say it's a grade card of the health district, but it isn't. It truly is the community working together. And I mentioned a little bit ago when we talked about PIN, the Partnership for a Healthier Delaware County is made up of about 150 individuals who come and work with us to do the community health improvement plan and that whole process. And so it really is everybody doing their part. We're very pleased with it, don't get me wrong. I was at an Association of Ohio Health Commissioners board meeting on Friday. I'm on the board right now, and they were all giving me a hard time about it. But we would love to say it's a grade card, but it's not. It's really just one piece of the puzzle that we look at. And the one thing, I was laughing with them as we did introductions, everybody was saying their ranking. So we are 54th in the state for people who travel alone to work and have long commutes. Now, there's not really a lot as a community we can do about that, and I guess part of it is because we do have a lot of people who actually have their own transportation, so they're able to drive perhaps to Columbus to work, which is what we kind of all assumed. They all head that direction. But so when they came around to me, instead of saying Sheila Hiddleston number 1, I said 54 in air control.
Yeah. I have to work on that with, Bob Liam is working on that with economic
Very
development.
aware of that.
Well, and I think, if we can work on carpooling activities or getting people, I know now that our data bus hooks up to the CODA buses, and get people maybe thinking along those lines, because, we don't want to drop in our overall ranking because of something like that, which we could control a little bit.
Right, more jobs here,
Yeah.
so they don't have to go.
There you go.
Back
There you
back
go.
and forth. But thanks, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Questions or comments?
That's it.
Very good, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sheila.
Vote on motion 18-283. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-284, in the matter of approving a service agreement with Benchmark Landscaping Construction and Company for 2018 facilities turf mowing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. We discussed briefly in budget hearings last year about redirecting our mowing efforts to avoid additional staff. This contract with Benchmark will take care of all the surrounding facilities, the EMS stations, the dog shelter, the Willis building, and our grounds crew will focus on the downtown facilities, all the mowing and the landscaping is down here. This is a one-year contract. We solicited 4 quotes, and they were the lowest.
That's how you say that, avoid additional staff. He knows how to get to us then. Very good. Any questions or discussion? Thank you. Vote?
Vote on motion 18-284. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-285, in the matter of setting date and time for requests for statements of qualifications for architectural engineering design services for former Career Center North Campus renovations for Delaware County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
This will start the process to select the design firm for the remodel of the, what I guess we're referring to the North Campus, the Career Center. I checked with the Career Center. The project is still on schedule to be They should vacate that property August, September of 2019. So we want to get a design professional in here, get this design work all done, have contracts ready. So when we take possession, we'll be ready to move forward with construction.
All right. Boy, it's a big deal.
The cost came in a little more than I guess I thought it might, but is that a reasonable number, or do you think that number is going to be $10 million?
That's the estimate in the master plan. That's what they proposed it. So once.
You think that's going to be close, or you think it's going to, is that on the high end, or you don't have a clue?
I really don't want to guess.
Yeah.
Better not to guess at this point.
Any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-285. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thanks.
Resolution number 18-286, in the matter of approving supplemental appropriations for Job and Family Services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Stephen Socorro, Job and Family Services. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that PIN has helped hundreds of our clients that walk in the door daily. So we appreciate what they've done there for us, and it's a sad loss for the community. So
All the different departments, all the different things.
sure, it touches all of our community.
Yeah, it does.
So it's a sad loss today. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. So I'm here today to talk about supplemental appropriations. Actually, an appropriation change, I'm sorry. This is actually for Family and Children First Council, which is Job and Family Services is the fiscal agent for them. So this year when we were budgeting, we did not have the Richland County grant that we received, that FCFC had received. So we did ultimately get that grant of roughly $25,000. We didn't budget for that, so now we have to go back and reappropriate some funds in order to show that we did receive that grant. And so we are moving, we would like to, we have $7,000 in unappropriated funds and $3,000 in salary reductions due to a staffing loss in the FCFC coordinator position. Yeah, so that would open roughly $10,000 for us to move to client services to help children and families in the area that work with FCFC. So we'd like to ask for permission to move that.
Very necessary.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-286. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Steve.
Stephen.
Resolution number 18-287, in the matter of approving contracts of sale and purchase for Kenneth and Karen Helminger, Dennis S. Steele, Ronald E. Rice, and Holly and Jason Beal for the project known as Del CR 14-1.23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. We have 4 contracts for purchase of additional right-of-way on our East Powell Road project. We've negotiated settlements on all of these contracts and recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-287. Mr. Merrill? Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
And we are on page 671. Resolution number 18-288, in the matter of reappointing Chris Boserman, Delaware County Engineer, to the Ohio Public Works Commission District 17 Integrating Committee, and appointing Michael Frommer, Delaware County Administrator, as alternate.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
As you're aware, we are a member of a 6-county district in District 17, including Morrow, Knox, Licking, Fairfield, and Pickaway counties. Just briefly about the programs that OPWC administers that we utilize are the State Capital Improvement Program, which is a bond-financed state infrastructure program, and also the Local Transportation Improvement Program, or LTIP, is strictly a road and bridge program that is financed out of 1 penny of the state gasoline tax. Together, these 2 programs generate about $9 to $10 million a year for District 17, so we share that money with the 6 counties. We've been successful over the years in bringing that money back to Delaware County with what I think are excellent projects we're able to submit. Over the last 10 years, we've brought back just just for county projects, over $4.5 million. That's not including all the cities, villages, and townships in the county. So I think we've been very successful. I can't say enough good things about this program. It's really, of all the infrastructure programs we deal with, this is probably the easiest to administer, has the fewest strings attached. It is state money, not federal money, so we don't have all of the things we have to do for that. That said, it is a smaller pot of money than the federal program, so generally the projects that we can use these funds on are smaller. So with that, Chris has served on as our representative to this committee for as long as I can remember. And then, of course, we'd be appointing Mike as the alternate, and I think that's a good way to go.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-288. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-289, in the matter of approving the plat of subdivision for the Glades at Highland Lake, Section 2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
This subdivision includes 23 single-family lots. It's located on the north side of Big Walnut Road in Genoa Township. The plat has been approved by all the required agencies, and we're now recommending your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-289. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-290, in the matter of appointing a member to the Delaware Morrow Mental Health and Recovery Services Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Communications Manager. This appointment, it was for a term that was vacated, and we are recommending that you appoint Christopher Shamrow as the new member of the board.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-290. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-291, in the matter of appointing members to the Concord Scioto Community Authority Board of Trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
And this one here, we have 2 seats. The incumbents decided not to reapply, and after interviews, we recommend appointing Graciela Chanfrau and David Fahrenholtz as citizen members of this authority's board.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-291. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-292, in the matter of approving an amendment number 1 to the services agreement between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Buckeye Innovation LLC, doing business as Buckeye Interactive, for a website redesign project for the Delaware County Government Organization.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
This is for an amendment to the original services agreement for our website redesign project. We're inching to the finish line on this one here. They had originally set March 28th as the deadline, and I kept encouraging them, please, if we need to push it a little further, because we have got hundreds of pages of content that we're migrating. We also went from, I think it was originally 27 microsites, as you call it, with the different departments and offices, to 31. So this amendment does reflect the fact that we have requested additional work from them than was covered. We did budget, however, more than this even for the possibility for this project. So this is simply acknowledging that from the original amount, we're just adding this additional amount.
125 to 160, correct?
Correct.
Questions or comments?
So all the offices except one
Yes.
has signed on to the website?
Yeah. Victim of our own success. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's good news and bad news.
Pardon?
Good news and bad news.
Yeah.
Creates
No,
more
I
work,
think
but
it's
it
going
does.
to make for a very, a much more consistent look on the entire website. It's going to be much more user-friendly.
Easier to navigate.
Yes, much easier to navigate. You saw, hopefully, some of the demonstrations that Buckeye Interactive brought to the state of the county where they set up that screen in the back of the room. I've heard very good feedback from people in terms of liking what they see and how easy it is to get around it.
And it'll be smartphone friendly.
Yes, yes, it is completely accessible on any mobile device. That's part of why we switched to our session meetings on YouTube, because you can now watch them on your phone or your tablet. So part of making that switch was to make it a more seamless integration with what the website will be able to do.
And the one that didn't sign up, the one office that didn't sign up?
Do we want? Yeah.
I got a great
Domestic
pressure on 'em.
relations, to be fair, they had only just had their website created not too long ago by Ron Clayton of our IT department, and they're thrilled with how it works. So
You
they,
haven't said who it is.
Oh, he did. She
Yes,
did.
she did.
Domestic
yeah, he
relations.
just did, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna give,
Quick,
That's absolutely fine, yeah. They're being good stewards of their money.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so, but it's a very easy, if they choose in the future to, join in with the template that we've created for all the other
Be helpful
sites.
if we're all the same.
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, next time we
Right,
see
but no,
Judge Fuller.
folks within the whole county organization, even those who are not comfortable with technology, have really embraced it. And when we did our first big training session, I was amazed. People jumped right in and were able to start making their own, changes and edits. And yeah,
that's
it's
important.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. So we're in good shape, and it's just I want to make sure the vendor has enough time to do things correctly, and because we have asked a lot of them, so.
So March 28th isn't going to be the day?
No,
Maybe
we're going to take March 20
29th?
off the table, not March 29th. We'll know better, I'd say, within the next week, if we can set a date. It's going to be in that first half of April, I would dare say. I have not booked my personal vacation to recover from this until the beginning of May, so. Because I knew when we started, it was going to be a lot.
Or April of 2018?
Yeah, yes.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
First half of April, so we're talking before April 15th.
Pardon? No.
Just trying to pin you down.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-292. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you.
Resolution number 18-293, in the matter of approving a supplemental appropriation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Good morning, Cy Kelly, Deputy County Administrator. This supplemental is needed for the fees that are associated with the collection of the property taxes for the Permanent Improvement Fund, and I recommend your approval.
What are these collections?
We have, I believe it's 0.1 mils of property tax for permanent improvement, and that's collected through the property taxes. This was missed during the budget process.
Oh, okay. Who does this go to then? The
George
collection?
collects it, and that's part of our building improvement capital and internal projects that we do throughout the year.
Okay.
Vote.
Vote on motion 18-293. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Si, is there anything you'd like to discuss that occurred over the weekend that you'd like to bring to our attention?
My team's still playing basketball.
Boy, what a lucky win that was.
With that brings us to Administrator report. Mr. Fromer.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to, bring to your attention, kind of give a shout out to our own Aaron Jennings in EMS. He was appointed by Governor Kasich to serve on the State Board of Emergency Medical, Fire, and Transportation Services, starting in March of this year and going for, I think, 18 months. So that's wanted to bring that up, and that's fantastic that we have representation on that board.
Great.
Is that it?
That's it.
Commissioner Lewis.
Well, I would like to introduce a guest today, Marissa, who is a senior at Big Walnut, and she is shadowing me, so make sure you say hi. And she asked to shadow one of the commissioners, and so I'm very happy to have her today. And she's going to be going down to 911, to Patrick's shop down there, and hearing the 911 calls come in and how the 911 operators handle those calls. And so Patrick's down there waiting for her. And then I do want to take her over to the new courthouse and just do a walk through there and maybe sit in on Judge Gormley, I think has trial at 1:30. We're going to stay there for a little bit, and then we're going to go over to and get a tour of Alpha organization. And, oh, and we're going to get lunch sometime, too, so don't worry. Yeah.
Make sure she buys.
I will.
I'll put her on the spot.
Yeah. And that's it.
Marissa, is that right? Well, thanks for being here today. Is there anything you want to say? Okay. Is that all?
That's it.
Just a couple things. I wanted to mention that I thought the Delaware Chamber State of the County presentation went very well. It was very well attended. I mean,
Yeah, it was.
standing room only, the tables were crammed in there at Source Point. So again, a very popular event, and that really was more Delaware focused versus the Tuesday. There was a presentation, was more countywide focused, so thought the audience really appreciated hearing. We got a lot of good questions. We had to actually kind of cut them off, because there were so many questions being asked. So there's a lot of interest in that. So again, compliments to Commissioner Merrill, who led that, and everybody else who participated and made that happen. I met with the Northwest Neighborhood Association on Thursday evening to talk about the historic jail sale, and that went actually very well. They're very interested. I think they understand that we're not going to knock it down. We're not going to sell it to anyone who's going to knock it down. So now we got to figure out what's the best use. And I know they had a lot of ideas and a lot of interest. So it will, it's definitely moving forward. And I think April 5th is a deadline for the first round of bids, and we'll see what occurs at that point. But there is a lot of interest, and it's really neat. A lot of good ideas to repurpose that building and put it to productive use. The meeting quickly moved into transportation issues in the county. You know, why aren't we building roads and interchanges faster and all those sorts of things. So it wasn't.
Really?
It didn't end up being just the jail, but
Oh,
it got into transportation and
okay.
economic development. So we spent an hour and a half talking about a whole bunch of stuff. We started with the jail, but quickly moved into other stuff once they realized we're not going to tear it down.
Yeah, okay, go, yeah. Oh,
So,
my gosh.
anyway,
Next
that's-
que-
yeah,
Next
yeah.
question then, yeah.
So that's all I got.
Thursday evening, I had the privilege of swearing in David Mosier at the Development Disabilities, and I think he's going to be a great addition there, which you've already commented on. And Friday, I attended a CCO meeting. I'll try to do a little summary to pass on later this week when I get a chance. The state of the county, I don't think I've ever been to an event where we had as many questions as we had, because we had about 25 minutes of questions, and I think we were fortunate Chris Boston was in the audience. He could answer the road questions, and we didn't have to give
Transportation
our
questions.
interpretations. So it worked out really, really well. Great crowd, and I thought I think it was a win-win for everybody involved. Happy birthday yesterday. I believe your birthday was yesterday. I know you didn't bring that to our attention, but
I'm going to always have it on a weekend, so you guys can never
say happy
bring it
birthday.
up in session.
With that, I think we have need for executive session.
I forgot one thing, I'm sorry. As you started mentioning Thursday night, I remembered, last Thursday night, I was at the Vietnam Veterans meeting, and they gave the first annual Larry Klein Award to a wonderful gentleman named Ken Cox. And Ken is even though he is on oxygen sometimes, is a volunteer at Penn. So it all comes around, but it was really a very heartfelt gathering. Chris Klein was there with her family, and Bill Cashman,
Is
and
that the first one with Larry
We
Klein?
make this an annual,
yes,
that's
right.
great in honor of Larry.
It is.
Another one of the great
I know,
people in
yeah.
our county
Right,
that
it did so many
raised-
things.
Right.
Done so much.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Resolution number 18-294, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of employment of a public employer or public official, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, to consider the sale or property at competitive bidding, for pending or imminent litigation, and for confidential information related to economic development.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-294. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
All right, we're now in executive session.